Hey guys, welcome back to my channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a company that we've actually talked about on the channel before. The company name is Namaste Technologies. They're involved with the MJ industry here in Canada. It's a small cap company. Their share price has been beaten up quite a bit, even since our last video on this stock, and I think it really is getting close to support levels, and it may be time to pull the trigger. Now in my last video, one of my big criticisms with Namaste Technologies was their online platform CannMart had very limited offerings or very limited product selection. Now since then they've added over 550 different SKUs, so I definitely think the company is now moving in the right direction. And as a result, I wanted to give an update on this company moving forward and how my bullish thesis for Namaste has evolved or changed. Now before we get into it, please take a second to smash that like button, you guys. It helps out the channel in a huge way. If you're not already subscribed to the channel itself, McNallie Money, take a second to do so. And let me know in the comment section below what you think of Namaste, if you're currently holding any shares, and what you feel about this recent news that just came out about this company. Now without further ado, you guys, let's roll the intro clip and get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today we're going to be talking about Namaste Technologies. Now I've talked about this stock or company before on the channel. It's currently my #1 video in terms of views overall or lifetime for the channel, which is really exciting and was really unexpected for me, as this really is one of the smaller operators here in the Canadian MJ space. But I wanted to provide a quick update on this company, because one of the big issues that I identified in my last video seems to be really getting addressed and resolved by the management team. So I wanted to take a second look at Namaste and update you guys on what's changed over the last couple of months. So this is a chart. This is as of close on Monday, June 21st. Now you can see they pulled back about 2%. They're sitting at just over 20 cents Canadian. This trades on the TSX Venture under the ticker symbol N. Now if we look at the chart here over the last 6 months, you can see that Namaste really is touching all-time lows that they saw back in December of 2020. If we zoom out to a 1-year chart, this company really is hitting a pretty strong support line, and that makes it a very interesting opportunity if you're looking to get some exposure into the online or e-commerce space in the Canadian MJ market, and with some exposure to the US market in terms of CBD at this point in time. So again, I wanted to talk about Namaste, give you guys a quick update here, and let you know why I feel like management has really addressed one of the main concerns identified in my last video. Now in terms of market cap, Namaste is now sitting at $81 million Canadian, so it's under that $100 million milestone, and that number is really starting to look quite attractive to me as a potential investor in Namaste, knowing what they have in the pipeline and the plans that the management team has for this company over the next couple of years. So in terms of the recent developments here at Namaste Technologies, there's 2 pieces of news that management has just come out with that I wanted to talk through in this video. Then we're going to get into their revised investor presentation. They've added a few slides that give some pretty interesting information on the company, so I wanted to share that with you guys as well. So first up here is a corporate update from June 15th, and this is actually talking about the number of SKUs that are now listed on the CannMart website in Canada and the United States. Now obviously MJ is not yet federally legalized in the United States, but CannMart has broken into that market, and they're now offering CBD alternatives along with some of the auxiliary products and hardware that go along with this type of industry. So if we scroll down here, you can now see that there's over 550 new SKUs that have been added to the CannMart.com website in the past 3 months alone. So this was really one of the big red flags that I identified in my last video on Namaste, and it was the fact that they had this great platform, this CannMart e-commerce solution, but the product offerings on that website were very limited, and I felt like consumers really weren't getting the variety that they would require in order to go back time and time again to make their purchases from this this platform. But over the last 3 months, as mentioned, they've added hundreds of new SKUs. Now these include products from all different types of companies in the MJ space. Some of the most notable that they've now added are Bello Vapor, Emprise, Heritage MJ, Kalea, Cushcraft, and Lumera Health, which is actually in the form of a topical cream. Now on the US side of things, they've added a number of new SKUs and brands there, which include 7 NRG, CBD for the People, Martha Stewart CBD, which is one of the very popular ones in the US, Kine Industries, Full Body Zen, and Shrine Brands, which funny enough is actually the inventor of the world's first 24 karat gold rolling paper. Not sure exactly why you would need that, but definitely innovative and definitely eye-catching to say the least. So this is a big development for me, you guys, both on the Canadian side of things and the US, because obviously, as we all know, the more products and the more variety that this platform has to offer, the more people it's going to attract, and the better position Namaste is going to be to pull these consumers away from traditional brick and mortar retail or from competing online e-commerce platforms. So this was huge for me. I actually had a few of my subscribers reach out and let me know that this platform really is bolstering up the number of SKUs that they offer and asking me to take a second look at this company. So that's exactly what I've done. And to be honest, I was really impressed with what I found here. Now, if we jump over to the actual CannMart platform itself, you can see the look and feel of this website has come a long way over the last couple of months. And if you start to scroll down, even just in the top selling product category alone, you can see the depth that this platform offers has gone up exponentially. So a number of different dried flower offerings, various different vape cartridges from all types of companies, including Phyto Extraction, which happens to be on sale right now. If you continue to scroll down, all different types of supporting accessories. Now I popped into the actual flower tab just to compare the number of SKUs in this category versus the last time we looked at this company. And if you go to the all flower tab, you can see dozens and dozens of different products that are now available here for sale. So Cushcraft, which was just added. We have products from T-God, which we talked about in the last video here. G-Tech, which is another company we've talked about on the channel. The list goes on here, you guys, but you can see there's literally pages of offerings now compared to last time when there was just a handful. They've also really bolstered their edible offering. So if we jump into the edibles tab here, you can see that they're now offering a ton of different products. We've got the Wana Sour Gummies by Indiva. That's another company we've discussed on the channel and I currently hold shares in. They've got some really cool products which are actually dry fruit that are infused with THC. So this was the first time I've seen products like this. They have the dried banana offering and they also have dried mango. And as you continue to scroll down, again, you can see a number of different brands, Apothecary, Emprise, which we just talked about. These are actually the soft gels. There's the dried mango. They also have dried apricots. So really cool to see, number one, that they're starting to offer such a well-balanced portfolio of products, and cool to see all the different applications that THC can now be used in or infused in to bring these products to market. It seems like every single time I look into one of these companies, there's some new form of delivery, whether it's the dried fruit like we're seeing here, topicals, bath bombs. I've seen now brownies. There's all kinds of different products available. And that's what makes me so excited about this space overall, not specifically Namaste or CannMart, but the amount of innovation in this sector on a macro scale is super exciting for me. Now, the second big piece of news that recently came out from Namaste came out about a week earlier than the last article, so June 7th, is actually in regards to CannMart, which is the fully owned subsidiary of Namaste. So CannMart Labs has now put in their application to Health Canada for their dealer's license, which would basically allow them to store and distribute the following substances. So psilocybin, psilocin, ketamine, LSD, DMT, and MDMA. So these are a lot of the products that we've talked about with some of the microdosing videos for companies like Red Light Holland and Field Trip Health. And they're expecting by Q3 of 2022, they should hear back from Health Canada on whether or not this application has been approved. And at that point in time, they would actually be able to list products that include these substances on the CannMart platform. So this is super exciting to me as well, because not only have they exponentially increased the number of products and SKUs that they offer on the MJ side of things, but they're now looking a couple years out to actually ramp up and expand their offering to include a whole host of other controlled substances and nutraceuticals. So the CEO of Namaste, which we talked about in our last deep dive video, says societal acceptance of scientific discoveries of new paths to wellness is rapidly increasing. Namaste is well versed in the distribution of controlled substances and looks forward to being a responsible leader in creating new paths to wellness. So super pumped about this, you guys. I think again this is really going to open a lot of doors and drive a lot of additional revenue for the CannMart platform if and when this is approved by Health Canada. And they actually talk about their roadmap or future pipeline of products in a little bit more detail in the investor presentation that we're going to look at next. So if we now jump over to the Namaste Technologies website, they have put together a new investor presentation that's dated for June 7th, so very recent here, and a different version than we looked at in our last video. And there's a couple of really good slides in here that I wanted to bring your attention to. So number one, this was interesting from a macro or industry-wide perspective, but they estimate that legal MJ sales in Canada currently represent under half of the total potential market, and that $3.1 billion are still flowing through the illegal or black market MJ channels here in Canada. So that's exciting for me because I truly do think that the black market is going to diminish over the next couple of years. So it's cool to see that there's still that much money tied up in the black market side of things that's gradually going to flow over to the legal or more formal retail channels. And you can see in terms of population, just over 4 in 10 individuals, or 43% of consumers, still purchase their MJ from the illegal market. Now, if you look at the industry combined, so both the illegal and legal side of things, the estimated market in Canada holistically comes in at $6 billion, and they expect that to grow to $7 billion by 2025, with a compound annual growth rate on the legal side of things of just under 18%. So this is another slide that was really interesting to me and popped out in this presentation because we've really talked about this in some level of depth on this channel. So they're talking about how the prices that companies are able to achieve per gram of dried flower have really diminished significantly over the last couple of quarters. So you can see, regardless if you're talking about traditional retail stores, OCS, which is the Ontario MJ store, or the illegal market, in all three channels, prices per gram have actually dropped quite significantly. And what's interesting is the illegal market has actually held up the best out of the three channels. So in Q1 of 2019, on the illegal side of things, average selling price per gram was $8.13. Now that has dropped over the last couple of years, and it's now sitting at $7.76. But in terms of a percentage decline compared to the other two channels, the illegal or black market has held up relatively well. Now what's really concerning is the retail market has dropped from $12.40 to $9.13, and the OCS has dropped from $10.80 to $6.24. So they're actually coming in the cheapest per gram of any of the channels as of Q3 2020. Now in addition to that, there's been a dramatic increase in the amount of inventory that federal license holders are actually having in their possession. So in terms of supply and demand, you guys, there's a ton of supply. The demand is growing, like we saw at about 18% a year, but it's not keeping up with the amount of product or supply that's flooding the market. And that's what's causing those prices to drop. And that's why in a number of my videos, you guys, I mentioned that I'm concerned specifically with the cultivation space as more and more companies start to grow and produce the actual dried flower itself, and the retail space. And the reason I like Namaste is because it's got that online platform and that exposure to the United States that a lot of these other companies really don't have. So based on that supply and demand imbalance, Namaste has really identified three challenges here. So for consumers, they like the illegal market because they want to buy easily and they want affordable prices. And as we saw in the last slide, the black market does offer prices that are lower than the traditional retail channel. Now for the retailers, they are starting to face high levels of competition. There's more and more entrants into this space, so they really need to find ways to differentiate themselves. And then the cultivators or the growers are facing that inventory Armageddon, which we saw on the last page. There's a ton of supply on the market right now, and that's forcing them to really do fire sales or start to abandon their planned pricing structure and really go after those low-hanging fruit and start to discount their products heavily in order to move their inventory. So Namaste Technologies really feels like they're well positioned in the center of this ecosystem to take advantage of a lot of those opportunities and provide solutions to their customers. And they really reference the fact that they were Canada's first omnichannel marketplace, which really means that they've integrated all different methods of shopping into their retail experience. And this slide really talks about that three-pillar approach Number one, again, they call out that Omnichannel Marketplace that they were the first to market with. Secondly is their wholesale processing and distribution. So really getting in a position to start to master the 2.0 product lineup. And the third pillar for success here is what they call the new frontiers of wellness, which is really talking about nutraceuticals and the psychedelics, which we discussed in that second news article, which opens the doors to things like psilocybin and some of these more futuristic or frontier type of products. So the result of Namaste's strategy, or their three-pillared approach, is they're really solving problems for suppliers and delivering a frictionless experience to consumers by getting them the products they want at the right price. Now this slide had a couple really cool numbers on it that we didn't see in the last presentation. So this is in regards to pillar one, their omni-channel marketplace. And a few stats that really jumped out to me as a potential investor in Namaste is number one, so the average number of monthly downloads for their Namaste MD app in 2020 was over 1,500. They've got over 3,000 daily active users on their platform. Repeat purchase rate for these customers is in excess of 75%, and I would expect that to grow as there's now more products available and better range or variety of SKUs that these customers can try out on the CannMart platform. And the average order volume on CannMart.com was $156 compared to $88 on OCS or the Ontario MJ store. So in terms of some of the other retailers or online platforms where consumers can go to buy MJ products, they really are creating sticky customers that are spending a lot more money per interaction on the CannMart platform. Now in terms of pillar two, this is really focused on the wholesale processing and distribution. We did mention this in more detail in that initial video, so if you want to get a deeper dive on their strategy here, please take a look at that video. But they've actually scaled this channel from nothing to over $10 million in the last 14 months. They were Canada's first ever sales only license, which actually allows CannMart to store, process, and distribute MJ without actually cultivating or growing it themselves. And they're actually now launching their own in-house brand, which is called Royalty. And obviously that's going to allow them to expand their margins and create some of these 2.0 extracted products, which is really going to allow Namaste to participate in a new way in some of the 2.0 derivative or extraction type of products. And then the third pillar here, you guys, we've talked about the psychedelics, which are expecting to be online in the latter half of 2022. And then nutraceuticals, which funny enough, we just talked about these in the last video I put out on Neptune Wellness. And nutraceuticals, for those of you who are unaware, are products or food that actually contain health-giving additives or have medical benefit to the user. So super excited to see how Namaste really builds out both of these platforms, and I think does really position them in a good spot for future growth down the road. And that's a perfect segue to this slide, which really talks about their holistic roadmap over the next couple of years. So you can see in the first half of 2021, they were really focused on launching that CannMart.com in the US. Now again, this focuses on hemp-derived CBD products at this point in time, along with smoking accessories, but this is what they're referring to as a beachhead or their entrance or foot in the door to the US, so that when federal legalization does come into play, they've got a platform that they can quickly expand upon and make a meaningful entrance into the US MJ market. Now in the second half of 2021, they're looking to launch their first nutraceuticals in North America. So this is actually going to come in advance of the psychedelics because obviously there's fewer hoops to jump through or red tape surrounding the nutraceutical space. They're going to launch commercial production at the BHO extraction facility. So that's going to really allow them to get their in-house Royalty brand up and running. And then in 2022, which we talked about, they're hoping to receive that dealer's license for the psychedelics and also launch their nutraceuticals in the European market. So a number of big milestones on the roadmap here, you guys, and all of these initiatives will really position Namaste as a more well-rounded and diversified company moving forward. Now to close things out here, you guys, I did want to talk about their financial performance. We discussed some of their earnings in that last video, but for those of you who missed it, fiscal 2020, so last year, landed at $27.1 million in top-line revenue, which was up 65% from 2019, so very healthy growth there. But the most impressive number, I think, on this sheet, you guys, is actually in relation to debt. So this company has zero debt. Now, we're going to talk about their cash burn on the next slide, but they're really a low-cost operator here, and they're able to sustain their business model for quite some time without having to raise capital or dilute shareholders from what I can see from my perspective. And that's exactly what this slide here talks about. They've got $31 million in cash as of February 28th. So this is a couple of months old, but very strong cash position. And they've significantly reduced the cash used in operations from $10 million in Q1 of 2020 to only $2.5 million in Q1 of 2021. So with $31 million in cash and a burn rate of only $2.5 million per quarter, you can see they have a lot of runway here to really bring these plans that they have to fruition without facing any liquidity issues. Now in terms of Q1 for 2021, revenue came in at $6.15 million, with MJ revenue actually increasing 113% versus Q1 of 2020. Now, if you were to annualize this out, you'd get in the neighborhood of about $24 to $25 million projected for 2021. So in terms of overall growth, that's what some of the more bearish analysts on this company were talking about, saying, hey, year over year revenue projections don't look that impressive. However, in my opinion, because they've now expanded their platform and the product offering in such an exponential way, we are going to see continued revenue growth. And I think they're really going to be able to change that trajectory and blow 2020 numbers out of the water as they start to see the benefit of all these new additional products and continue to bring more and more SKUs online to the platform. So ultimately, you guys, all of this brings us to the question, why invest in Namaste? Now, they cite the strong management team and flexible scalability as the two primary reasons that you should invest with this company. In my personal opinion, I have two different reasons. Number one, the company stock price is reaching all-time lows and they're really hitting strong support at that 20 cent Canadian kind of price point. So number one, I think you're getting in at a very good price. Realistically, the best price you could have in the Namaste company's history. And the second reason is the growth and exposure that this company offers. So they're bringing a lot of new products, a lot of new brands onto their platform. They've got the expansion into the United States. So you're getting that exposure into the US market as well, which I'm extremely excited about. And then they also have the growth in the psychedelics and the nutraceutical space. So I think immediate term here, you're going to benefit from the new products available on the Canadian platform. Intermediate, you're going to see the benefits of the exposure to the United States. And on a longer term, you guys, they've got a big product pipeline in the works and they're going to expand into new verticals moving forward. So for me, those are my top two reasons. Great entry price and great growth plans laid out ahead of them. And for those reasons, I am going to be taking a closer look at Namaste. As mentioned in the last video, this is a company that's been on my watch list. The share price has continued to drop, so I haven't yet pulled the trigger. But because we're starting to hit that 20 cent support level, I think these are probably the cheapest prices you're going to be able to get for this type of company. Now, considering this is an $81 million market cap with a cash position of around $30 million, you guys, you're really only paying about 13 cents for the actual business, and the remaining 7 or 8 cents per share is actually just in cash that this company currently holds. So for me, this is super exciting, and I think that's a very attractive and reasonable price for a business that has such a robust e-commerce platform, all the US exposure, they're launching their own in-house brand, and they've got that future roadmap for nutraceuticals and psychedelics. So I'm super excited about this. I think the time is now to get involved with this company. As always, I'll keep you posted on if and when I do pull the trigger, you guys. Let me know in the comment section below if you're currently holding Namaste, what you think of this analysis, if you agree or disagree with the points that I've made. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, take a second to do so. And if you're still watching the video at this point, hopefully you got some value. So smash that thumbs up or like button. It really helps me out in a big way and it helps the channel grow and get this video to other people like yourself who might find similar value. And on a final note, you guys, have a great rest of your day and thanks so much for watching.